Calling all nerds, welcome to the Chatting Chatot, your cozy little corner for all things Pokemon. I'm your host, Tyler, aka MrTNader. Today we have a great second episode of this little series that we're doing. I have actually interviewed my friend Joe the other day, and we just kind of went over Pokemon, as you would expect. So we will be cutting over to that interview at the end of the podcast. But before we get into it, we do have a couple little things happening in the news world of Pokemon, primarily with Pokemon Go and a little bit of the core game. Actually, we don't really have that much, so you'll hear the interview very soon. But yeah, so second episode, really excited about this. Really glad that I was able to find someone who was willing to hop on. We got on a Discord call. We just chatted a little bit. I asked him questions very similar to the ones that I asked in the first episode. So hopefully you listened to that. But yeah, so this is the Chatting Chatot. This is episode 2. If this is the first time that you're listening, my name is Tyler. I host this, and I am a creator, founder, whatever it might be called, of the podcasting team Calling All Nerds. Me and my brother-in-law, Max, we have started this. You can also listen to our other podcast called the Nerd Alert podcast. It's like Calling All Nerds. No, wait, it's Nerd Alert brought to you by Calling All Nerds. So this is Chatting Chatot brought to you by Calling All Nerds. That's like the vibe we go for. So if this is the first time you're listening to this, Chatting Chatot is specifically about Pokemon. Nerd Alert is about all things nerdy. So be sure to check out that as well. But yeah, so this is the first time listening. I appreciate you just kind of sitting around, or maybe you're driving, maybe you're relaxing in a cozy chair, maybe you're sipping some coffee, staring out into the distance, and you have a view of a beautiful lake. I don't know, I'm just kind of rambling at this point. So I think it is time for some news. In the Pokemon Go space, looks like Mega Gardevoir is making a debut here soon. So that's pretty exciting if you're into Mega Gardevoir. That is coming here shortly, so get pretty hyped for that. But honestly, a big thing that I was noting, that I at least wrote down that I was excited about, is on February 6th, there are now save the dates, not for a wedding, but for next season's community days. So let's see. Now that the final community day of season 9, Mythical Wishes, is behind us, we'd like to share next season's community day dates. Those are Saturday, March 18th, 2023, Saturday, April 15th, 2023, Saturday, April 29th, 2023, and it's a community day classic, is what it says in parentheses, and then Sunday, May 21st, 2023. Community days aren't the only events on the horizon. Here are dates for additional in-game events coming next season. We have Sunday, March 5th, Saturday, March 11th, Sunday, April 9th, Sunday, April 23rd, and then Saturday, May 27th to Sunday, May 28th. So I'm just assuming those are other pretty fun events. And they didn't really give too much else outside of that, but it's exciting to know that, more community days are coming. I mean, obviously, they're not just going to take away community days, but if you are into playing Pokemon Go, those are your next kind of dates to be on the horizon. So the next one is actually March 5th, a non-community day. It's just sort of an in-game event. So that'd be the next one. So get excited for that. I pretty much only play Pokemon Go for Community Day. So you will see me, or maybe not, but you'll see me out there March 18th catching some Pokemon. And then the only real news that I could see for the core games, being Scarlet and Violet, were kind of just two things. One is that there's some rumors that maybe there'll be some potential news of DLC coming for Scarlet and Violet. And it could be talked about on Pokemon Day, which is the 27th of February, but no one is certain. It's just, everybody always has like, oh, I think this is it. Oh, I think this is it. Rumors this, rumors that. So there's just been some leakers that are posting some strange, DLC teasers. Take those with a grain of salt, if you will. But that could, you never know, February 27th. Hopefully we will be doing some cool podcasting on that and give our little thoughts on there. So that'll be to come. And then if you are listening to this the day that I release this podcast, which will be the 11th of February. Right now, Greninja is out again for the final time as a Terra Raid battle in Scarlet and Violet. So if you're listening to this either on the 11th or the 12th of February, 2023, you still have a chance to get it. If you're listening to this in the future, well, hopefully you got it. And if you didn't, well, maybe you didn't want to get it. But that's pretty much it. And then for Pokemon cards, I don't have too much news. Crown Zenith is amazing. I'm still trying to get more cards so I can make more videos. And that's really all that I have for that. So that's our news segment. Pretty short and sweet, because honestly, the Joe segment of this portion was really fun. So let's just kind of kick right in and transition over to the interview. Who's that interviewee? It's Joe. What's going on, folks? Welcome back to the Who's That Interviewee section. I'm joined by my friend here, Joe, or Joethejoe, if you will. More on that after later when he tells you his credentials and all that good fun stuff. But yeah, so this is episode 2 of the podcast and our very first ever interviewee, my friend Joe. Say hello, Joe.
Hello, Joe.
Beautiful. So Joe and I, we met, crazy enough, it's actually been over 7 years now, which is kind of wild to think about. I met him back at
we're old.
Yeah, that actually feels kind of crazy that it's been 7 years. What the heck? I met Joe at my first job. Yeah, 2016.
Been really?
Yeah.
I didn't think you started that soon. I thought it was like 2018.
No, yeah, the internship was 2016, and I was invited to lunch with Joe's boss and obviously Joe, and I saw him play Pokemon Go, and I also saw him be on Team Valor. Honestly, all signs point to yes. So Joe, he has done some content creating. Do you still do content creating?
I haven't touched it in a bit.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, I guess I could just introduce myself.
Yeah, tell us your credentials, man.
Yeah, so I'm Joethejoe, or just Joe for short. Based off my real name, of course, which is Joe. And one of these days, I'm just going to tell people, no, my name's like, Robert or something. Yeah, so I sort of got into just streaming, content creation, YouTube, all that stuff back in like 14. I started a YouTube channel with my friend who I'm still friends with, but he handles the channel now, and he does like Elder Scrolls Online with it. And then kind of dropped that for a while, and then I've always been a fan of Pokemon and stuff, and I watched the anime growing up as a kid. I played like pretty much all the games except for Gen 5 and 6 because I hated Gen 5, and then Gen 6 like brought me back because that's when the anime was just like absolutely like amazing, and also that's when Pokemon Go came out. And Ash actually made it to the finals of the Pokemon League for once, instead of losing like the top 16 or whatever. And so Pokemon Go got me back into Pokemon after Gen 5, and I loved like 1 through 4, and I played the crap out of all of those. Gen 5 I just couldn't get into, but I came back to Pokemon through Pokemon Go back in 2016, and or whatever year it was, and then I eventually started to try and make Pokemon content on like my own YouTube channel, and then I stopped because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with it. Yeah. And I haven't really streamed or made videos or anything in a while. But it is funny that I think I made like 21 videos on that channel, and it's been like a while since I've done anything with it, but I still like get like random notifications like every now and then of people like commenting or like subscribing and stuff. And it's funny because like over the past like month, the subscriber count has slowly ticked up like one by one. I'm like, what are you guys doing? Like, I'm not even here. Like,
that's hello? Amazing. That's so cool. What about the art stuff? I remember you were getting really into doing like art streams and stuff like that. You still drawing and everything?
Yeah, I still draw.
Good. That's cool.
Not as much as I want to.
Yeah.
2021, I set a goal for myself because I started art like seriously in like 2019, but I was still a beginner, so I didn't really accomplish much. And then in 2020, no, I guess it was 2020 I started seriously. And then 2021, I set a goal for myself to draw at least one full piece a month because I was still new.
I remember that. I do remember that.
I was still new and very slow. So it took me like a month to get everything like just right, or at least close enough to just right to where I would be satisfied with it. And I more or less met that goal. And then after that, I'm like, cool, I did that. And then I just kind of like chilled for a bit. Like I think I drew like 2 full pieces last year, maybe if that. So I'm trying to get back into that a little bit more. My whole problem is like I want to do YouTube again and like streaming and stuff, but I also want to do art, but I also just want to enjoy games and play them, and I also want to like do this and that. So it's like decision paralysis, or I think it's called, or something like that. But
no, I totally get that, because I'm in the same boat. You know, like I did a lot of streaming, not so much YouTube, and then I started realizing that like the live streaming is fun, but I find that doing the YouTube stuff, like I'm doing all my shorts now. I'm doing this podcast. We're not doing it live or anything. And like, I like to be able to do it on my own time whenever, because I find that I always get time to do things very just randomly, but not always can I just randomly start streaming. It's like, it's like the time doesn't work out. Maybe I only have like this 30 minutes. And so I've shifted, and then it's like, well, I like doing this stuff. I like doing that stuff. And trying to like piece everything together, it can be a little tough, but I mean, as long as you're having fun, like I had a hard time transitioning from streaming to just playing games on my own. And now I'm just like, you know what? I just like playing games on my own. I don't always have to stream them. I'll do it every now and then just to try to bring some people into the YouTube channel, but playing games, man, it's just fun. It's kind of nice not having to like be on a camera or constantly talk, because a lot of times I'm silent. I'm just gaming. I don't need to talk.
But
that's cool. Well, I'm glad that I'm glad that you are still drawing. I'm glad that obviously you are still a Pokemon fan, or else this interview would be awkward.
Oh, you said Pokemon? Sorry, I thought you said Digimon.
Hey, Digimon's still pretty solid. There's some haters out there.
Digimon.
Oh man, if it wasn't for the intro, I think a lot more people would like Digimon. So what came first, the chicken or the egg? No, what came first? Was it playing a game? Was it watching the anime? Was it like playing the card game, or just collecting cards? Like what was the thing that like pulled you into Pokemon in the beginning?
So I'm pretty sure my first memory is the anime, and the reason I even knew about it was because I was like 6 years old. So I was like in like kindergarten, and just one day randomly like coming home from school, maybe it was like first grade, I don't remember. I was super, super young. And one day coming home from school, my best friend Derek just randomly was like, Joey, you need to turn on channel whatever, like channel 4 at like 3:00 today when you go home. And I was like, okay. So I did, and Pokemon was on, and I was like, whoa, this is so cool. And I don't remember like anything about like after that. I just remember him telling me that, and then like I just loved Pokemon after that. So then eventually, like I guess from that, then my parents got me like a Game Boy and like the red and blue and stuff, and then they got me Yellow as well. And I love Yellow. Like I love Gen 1 as a whole, but I love Yellow especially.
So good.
Just because like it's the one game where you can get all of the starters, and it's Pikachu follows you, which is like so freaking cool.
It was the closest thing we got to Ash. I felt like, so much of it was like Ash doesn't exist in the Pokemon universe, but Yellow was like kinda Ash is existing. They
basically made it to be more closely tied to the anime. Nowadays, that's not really true anymore, I guess. Or I guess maybe in the future it might be, because we're not going to have Ash anymore. But,
true. What they'll do.
But I played through Gen 1 a lot because Gen 2 or anything else hadn't come out yet. But I never beat Gen 1 as a kid. And
Same.
a big reason for that is, well, 2 reasons. One, I have a younger sister, and as many people might know who have younger siblings, they're brats and they suck. So But I also partially blame Nintendo for this because they made Legend of Zelda where you have save files and like multiple save files or whatever, I think. But Pokemon doesn't have that for some reason. So she would just randomly, like once a month or twice a month or whatever, be like, I want to play Pokemon. And we only had the one Game Boy, mine. And she would always want to play the version that I was playing. And I'd be like, all right, fine, but don't save it, because if you save it, it overwrites. So she would start a new game, and of course, you know, she'd get to like Route 1, maybe get to the first gym if she like played long enough, but she never played for like more than an hour really. And then she would save it, and I would just lose like all my progress. And this happened multiple times, and it wasn't because like I was just a nice guy. I was like, no, she's gonna do this again. It was like at first it was like my parents were like, oh, let her, you have to share, you know, like sharing is caring, all that stuff. But I kept telling them, and they were like, okay, well, instead of just like, you know, telling her no or getting her own Game Boy, they're like, okay, remember, don't save. And like, she would just save anyways. And there's no punishment for it. So like, even to this day, the closest I ever got to beating Pokemon Yellow was I basically soloed every game with my starter. So Pikachu was like level like 98 or 89 or something like that, and the rest of my team was like level 30 something, and I was at Lance, and
dang,
I managed to beat Lance, but then Gary's next, and his first Pokemon is like Exeggutor, I think so. As a grass type, it resists all your electric type moves, and I always had Pikachu learn Thundershock, Thunder, Thunderbolt, and Thunder Wave. Just pure
straight power, baby. Raw power.
So Pikachu was useless against Gary. And pretty much all of Bruno's team too, or at least half of it, because he has 2 Onyxes for some reason or whatever. So yeah. But another reason for Gen 1 being difficult for me was I always thought, like, up until like the Pokemon Go era, really, I always thought Rock was immune to electric because Brock's Pokemon are rock types, and he's a rock type champion. I'm like, oh, electric doesn't work. Okay. Obviously they're rock types, so rock type is immune. And then later you meet like Diglett or whatever, Cubone, and it's like, oh, ground is also immune. Okay. I never knew that Brock's Pokemon were rock and ground types. So I would always struggle against them when Pokemon Yellow, or like if I picked Charmander for my starter in Red and Blue. So that was another reason, like I would struggle to just like start the game.
Yeah.
So
do you feel like you had a good concept of like gaming and like how to play the game, of like type matchups and doing that whole? I didn't. I was dumb. I had no idea what video games were when I was a kid. I felt like I think I beat Brock 80 times because I kept restarting my game all the time. I didn't comprehend progression as a kid.
To a degree I did. Like they kind of teach you the basics, like, you know, fire beats grass, grass beats water, water beats fire. Yeah. So like stuff like that I knew, but like some of the more like intricate ones, like ground, I guess being immune to electric, they kind of teach you, or like the anime taught me.
Like the psychic dark ghost stuff. Like all those was confusing.
Like poison, ghost, psychic, I had no idea. Poison, psychic, like anything psychic. I knew it was like good against fighting. That was about it.
Yeah.
I knew flying was good against fighting. And grass and bug, but then like poison and like rock, and like I knew rock was good against fire because Charmander would get wrecked.
True.
But like all those other ones I didn't really know, and it wasn't until like, I don't know, maybe it was after Gen 2 came out that I was just playing through Gen 1 again for whatever reason, and I was playing Pokemon Yellow, and I'm like, well, I have my Pikachu, but I can't use Thunder Wave because they're rock types, so they're immune to it. So I was like, oh, I can get a Butterfree and it'll learn Stun Spore when it evolves into Butterfree, and then I can paralyze them that way. Butterfree also learns Confusion at level 10 or 12 or something. So I figured out that way that I could just sweep his team with Butterfree.
Yeah.
And then that kind of opened my eyes a little bit more. Like especially with like dark types, I had no idea. Like in Gen 2, I knew Steel was weak against fire, but dark types, I had no idea what the heck to do.
Yeah.
And in Pokemon Stadium 2, there's like the whole like gym leader section thing you can do. Mm-hmm. And the last guy on the Elite Four or whatever has a Tyranitar, and I could not beat that Tyranitar. Like I knew it was rock type. I think I knew it was rock type anyways, but I didn't know like what dark was weak against.
Yeah.
So I could never beat it. And through sheer luck, I was like, well, let me just try and teach my Typhlosion Dynamic Punch, because I know it's rock type, so it's weak to fighting. Little did I know that even though Dynamic Punch is only 50% accurate, it's also like stupid strong. And T-Tar is 4 times weak to fighting type. So it one-shot T-Tar. I was like, oh, that's what's good against dark type.
Bro, speaking of Tyranitar, you remember us when Pokemon Go first launched raids? And we went like under an underpass and then like climbed up a hill to like the side of the road to battle this Tyranitar with like 40
I remember people. That. And you caught it too.
I did, yeah.
I didn't though, which sucked. I was like, oh man.
Bro, we did a lot of work to get to that thing. It was sketch. We like parked somewhere, paid for park it, and then we're walking trying to find it.
Dude, that's what Pokemon's about, man. Just wandering, getting lost on adventures.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it was pretty cool doing those raids. Pokemon Go was it was really fun. It was a fun time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember. So I remember going back to Gen 1. I'm going to say recently. I'll say that I was probably 16 or older. So I'll just say recently, I guess. But I remember I was playing through it, and I had never, because I never beat the game, so I never really went to the Victory Road route. That's right there by Brock's, stadium and everything. Yeah. And I've never noticed that there was a Mankey there. So I'm over here playing older Tyler walking around, and I see the Mankey and I'm like, are you kidding me? So there was a fighting type less than like 300 pixels away from Brock's gym. And I used to always train my Pikachu up, or like a Caterpie up or a Butterfree up, or do some just annoying thing of like training. And I never realized that there was a Mankey just right there. And I was like, wow, I cannot believe that it took me till I was, 16 or older to finally find this Mankey. But it's fun when you go back to like games again, older games, and like when you realize that you missed a lot of things as a kid. I read more dialogue now, and so I'm like, oh, this is like a lot more fun, like little things around the game that like goofy people say.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. Gen 1 is a good one, and Yellow is amazing.
Yeah. Another thing with that little patch of grass too, you can find Nidoran there, and they learn double kick at like level 7 or something.
Man, the game really tries to let you know it's possible.
Yeah.
And we're over here with our Pikachus. Come on, die!
I mean, part of it's also like, oh, my starter is so cool. Why would I ever use these other Pokemon? Like, I'll catch them, but like, whatever. I'll just leave them level 4, like whatever. And then all they know is Poison Sting, which doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, well, I guess I'll just die now.
So you watched the anime, you played the game. Did you get into the trifecta? Did you do the cards at all, whether collecting or playing or anything like that?
Yeah, so I collected a good bit as a kid. Let's see, where do I even start with that? I don't even know. I guess just at some point. So like my dad likes to collect coins, so he kind of, I guess, initiated that for me. Like maybe, he got me my first booster pack or something. I don't have an exact memory of that, but he helped a lot with like just like sorting that and stuff, like putting them all like alphabetically in a binder so they're more easy to find and stuff. And then I ended up getting 4 holographic Charizards, like not all at once, but like over the course of like, before Gen 2 came out and stuff. Unfortunately, none of them are first edition, so they're not worth much, but it's still kind of cool to have 4 holographic Charizards.
Oh, for sure. That's awesome.
And I remember one of my friends growing up had a birthday party, and like, every kid gets like a little gift bag when they leave, and in the bag was like a pack of Pokemon cards. And that's where I got like my second one. And I was like, oh, I already have one. Here you go. And my dad, I like got in the car, and my dad was like, where are your Pokemon cards? And I was like, oh, I gave him to John because, I already had a Charizard. He's like, go get it back. So
your dad made you take back the card.
So despite it being his birthday party, I went back and took the cards.
Oh my gosh. I cannot believe your dad is the one to be like, what are you doing? Go back, get that card. Go get that card.
But yeah.
So you done any recently?
Have I collected any recently?
Yeah. Like you still collect it all or not much?
I don't really collect, not like you anyways. the last packs that I opened were like this Halloween one that they did last year. But like it was like it literally looks like a candy bag. And I was like, wait, it's like just Pokemon candy.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
It's that one.
Yep.
And there's like, I don't know, like it's like 40 packs in there or something. I opened half of them and I'm pretty sure I got all the cards in the set that you can get in there.
Mm-hmm.
And the other half are just sitting here. I'm like, I don't need to open these and just take up more space. But yeah, as a kid, I mostly collected. There was a Wizards of the Coast in our mall that I went to. You know, whenever we went to the mall, I would always go there, and I did play in like one little like I guess locals tournament there. And I remember this was like after the second movie came out, I think, and I actually like won a match and got like this cool like promo Electabuzz, which is pretty cool.
That's cool.
And I remember that there was this one guy who was just sweeping people with a Lickitung, which is like really funny to think about because it's Lickitung.
Yeah.
And I was like the one guy who actually beat him. I don't know how I did it or what I did, but I won and I got a promo Electabuzz for it. So I must have done something right. Yeah. But yeah, I didn't really play much of the card game after that or at all really. And now it's like, I feel like it's totally different from when it was back then too. So I'd have no idea what I'd do.
Yeah, the cards are a lot beefier. They got all the like, you know, GX cards or V cards. They take 2 prizes, sometimes 3 prize cards, and then you know there's all the different like conditions. I mean, it's still definitely a pretty original format, but like any card games, things evolve a lot, and they definitely change from like when we've originally played them. Like Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh's changed just drastically. I mean, the way you played it originally to now with having like like 80 different spare decks and you're like special summoning up the butt. So it's it's definitely a little bit different. That's cool that you had a Wizard of the Coast though, an actual store.
Yeah,
I didn't know they had I didn't know they had like actual brick and mortar shops.
Yeah, it was just in the mall though. It wasn't like its own thing, but they did eventually close down probably because their prices were really high. And I think there was like a Toys R Us in the same mall that like sold cards for cheaper.
Oh, so yeah. Why go there?
Probably did it to them. Yeah.
Now look at where Toys R Us is at. Aren't they like inside of Macy's or something like that now?
Probably. I don't even know. But it is funny looking at cards nowadays because like you look at cards from like, you know, the first set or whatever, and it's like, oh, Charizard, it has like 80 health, and Charizard now is like 220. It's like,
yeah. Yeah, they would stand no chance having like older cards because I mean, like basic Pokemon, it'd be like, oh, we have 30 health. Yeah. It's like basic Pokemon nowadays have like 60 to 70 health, and their attacks do like 40 damage, whereas basic before did 10.
Yeah. Do you know about anything about fossils for right now? Because I remember like back in the day, you had to like play this basic fossil card with like 20 hit points and then evolve that into the fossil Pokemon. Yeah,
I haven't actually seen a fossil Pokemon in a while. I'm not sure if they're still doing it the same way. Because when I'm kind of just like Googling it right now, looking at different fossil Pokemon. I feel like I haven't seen like a trainer card of a fossil in a good while. I'm not. Oh, here we go. So, okay, yeah. So that Arctozolt, one of the weird combination ones. Yeah. It does say that it evolves from a rare fossil, which I'm assuming is just a regular trainer card. So it looks like they are still keeping suit with that. But I can't imagine like it's the most competitive thing. I also, the weird thing too nowadays with like the Pokemon card game is when you have cards like GXs or EXs or Vs and V-Stars and all that, they can be, stage 2 Pokemon, but you don't need to evolve them. Like you just play them right away. So I feel like if they were to make, let's just take Arctozolt as an example, if they were going to make him maybe something pretty decent in a competitive scene, he would probably be like a V card anyways, and then you would just play him. Like you wouldn't need to evolve or anything. So like a Charizard, you can literally, if you pull it, if you have a Charizard GX in your hand and it's the only basic Pokemon in your hand, that's the first card you're playing. So that's how you're starting the game off with. So it's kind of interesting.
Gotcha. Okay.
But yeah, the cards are fun. So you played the games, did a little bit of collecting. You said you liked the anime, so like,
Yeah.
I know it may be hard to like think of, so I won't ask like what you liked about the anime before. I'm just gonna kind of just ask now, like, what about the anime do you enjoy? Like, what about it? What are elements of it that have just kind of kept you? Because you still watch, like me, we're still into it. I mean, maybe not as actively as we were as kids, but like I know you watch it, I watch it. Like, what about it still has that charm to you?
So I will answer the question of like, I'll answer both, like then and now.
Yeah.
So starting with then, it was just freaking cool. You know, it's classic like 90s, early 2000s. Like I love that style too. But it was also just like a lot more loose and like free back then. Like you had random like one-off episodes where like Ash gets turned into a Pikachu for an episode.
Oh yeah, I remember
which is like so cool. Like let me do that in the game or something. And then just like all these, you had like such random things happening and stuff.
Like Squirtle Squad. I mean, that was awesome. That whole Squirtle Squad was great.
I know. For the next episode,
that's so exciting.
But yeah, like I loved a lot of it. And then eventually what kind of put me off of it was Gen 5, because that was sort of like a soft reset for the whole franchise.
Yeah.
But also at some point, so they did, you know, Gen 1, 2, Gen 3. And then between Gen 3 and 4, they also did the Battle Frontier with like the 8 Frontier Brains. And they basically, that was when 4Kids lost the license to Pokemon, because that's when the Pokemon company was made. So they decided to start producing like the English dub and stuff. So all the dub actors that we grew up with like were replaced. So that's where like Sarah Natacheni got her start as Ash and stuff. And the voices were so bad. Like starting off, they're so bad. She's much better now. But she's no Veronica Taylor in my book. But yeah, like the voice change was just so weird, because it was literally like they did the first Frontier Brain with the 4Kids dub, and then they went all the way up to the episode before the second Frontier Brain with the 4Kids dub. And then as soon as you get to the second Frontier Brain, it switches. And it's so jarring.
That's a weird disconnect.
Like, if they at least started the Frontier Brain saga with like new actors, it wouldn't be as bad, but it was just like in the middle of it. And I'm like, what the heck? So that was like a little weird. And then, but like they still had hype moments. Like you have, I always loved the Indigo League battle between Ash and Gary, because he finally beats Gary, but it's also Charizard versus Blastoise. And it's such like an iconic like battle. And I always loved the way Ash battles too, like his ingenuity. Sprinkler memes aside, like some of the stuff he does in like sort of later seasons where it's like he teaches like the counter shield to his Pokemon, where they sort of break dance and shoot out water or electricity or whatever, and like it shields them from whatever attack, and it's also like offensive at the same time, which is really cool. And just weird things like that he does, I always loved about the anime. And again, like those
combat in the anime is awesome. Like anime combat is so they truly wouldn't be able to do that in a game. I think it's like way too complex of what they do, but the combat's awesome.
I think okay, imagine that. I've always wanted this as a game. So like, okay, I've wanted two of these things as a game. One where it's like, hey, you Pikachu, but like better, where like you actually voice out like Pikachu, use Thunderbolt and dodge it and blah blah blah. Yeah. And it actually does that. Obviously couldn't really do that in like the early 2000s. Nowadays, you could probably do something to that effect. But I think what would be really cool now is having like a Pokemon game, maybe like Gen 10, for example. Pokemon game where you run around the world as like your player character, but then when you go into battle, you battle as your Pokemon. I think that'd be sick.
Like, so, like you're controlling the moves kind of like in Unite.
Yeah. So like you like move around as the Pokemon, so you can like dodge, you can shoot out whatever, your Hydro Pump or whatever the heck. Yeah. I think that'd be really freaking cool.
Yeah. Could you imagine if there was like terrain manipulation and stuff? Like, let's say you're on a battle and like someone, like the other opponent uses Earthquake and it actually like cracks open parts of like your map area. Now you have to like jump over it. Or if they do like a mud or like a rock throw, but but then if you water beam like the rock, it like kind of destroys the rock. Like that'd be pretty interesting if it like actually tried to utilize the surrounding area too. Because I know, like, take the fight. I can't remember if it. I always get this mixed up because I watched so much of both. There was like the YouTube one following Red, and then there was Ash versus Brock.
Yeah.
I can't remember which one
Origins.
this was from, but it was like one of them had their Pokemon hit the sprinklers to weaken the. That was Ash. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, how cool of a concept would that be if you could do something right? Like, I'm gonna attack something in my area that's gonna have an effect onto you as the Pokemon, because you know, it makes sense. I mean, we have Pokemon battles literally inside of buildings in the Pokemon games, and it makes no sense how things are. Like, remember all the memes that came out during Sword and Shield for the Gigantamaxing in the stadium, and like what the audience would actually be like? It would just be mass destruction.
I think another thing that would be cool with like environmental stuff, like imagine Ice Beam on the ground. Now the ground is ice, and you can like slide across it or something. That'd be really cool. And then as for the anime now, I didn't care for Black and White, the anime. I didn't care for Gen 5. Silent was just like a knockoff Brock. I didn't care for Iris's design. I just thought her having like more hair than her body was like stupid. I liked
Goku.
her as like a character. Goku makes it look cool though. But I like her character, and I like that Act 2 like lived in her hair. That was always kind of cool because it was always out of its Pokeball.
That's cute.
But I didn't care for Gen 5. But Gen 6, like, I didn't really pay attention to it till like Pokemon Go got me back into Pokemon in general, and then like, you know, people online were like just like freaking out about like, oh my god, like the animation's so good, and like Ash is in like, you know, the top 4 of the Pokemon League or whatever. I was like, wait, what? And like that's also when Mega Evolutions were out and stuff. So Megas. Everything just like came together for that like series to be just amazing.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we'll ever have like an anime that was animated as well as Gen 6. Because like, oh my gosh, I've rewatched so many of those battles just because the animation is so good.
Was that the one with Mega Gyarados with Misty versus Ash?
That one was Gen 7. I really like that one too, though. I didn't like how they designed Ash. It's weird because like he's the only one that like looks like that, and everyone else kind of looks normal, or like at least in like they look more like their current versions. But like Ash like just changed so drastically.
Yeah, they did like swap him a lot with like his facial and like look and everything like that. I am going through that one right now, slowly, but yeah, he stands out in an odd way. It's almost like it's like he's the, and I don't know if they did it in the sense of like, oh well, like he doesn't live on the island, and so let's make him stand out. But I'm kind of just like, yeah, but almost his whole character model looks weird. Like, I don't understand.
He looks like a cartoon character in an anime.
Yeah, he does. He
so
does.
weird.
That's a great description of it. Yeah.
But I do enjoy the battles in Sun and Moon as well. Like, I love the Misty versus Ash rematch. I think that one's really cool. And that has another one of my favorite things where like Ash just like pulls off shenanigans to win the battle. Like, have you seen that battle? Right?
I have. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Like, I just love how Misty's like, Gyarados, use Hurricane. So it does. Pikachu's like trapped. So he tries Thunderbolt. Of course, it doesn't work because why would it? And then he's like, all right, well, just jump off the lightning. And he does. And he gets out. It's like, what? But yeah. And then Journeys, I never really watched any of like, I came in at the very end of Gen 6 of the Pokemon League, basically. So I saw all that hype stuff. Like, Greninja versus Sceptile is probably my favorite battle out of the whole thing.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
I didn't really watch Gen 7 that much, just like some of like the highlight parts, like, you know, some of the Kahuna battles and whatnot. Journeys, I watched a little bit in the beginning, especially because you see Pikachu's origin, which is like so adorable. And then more towards the end where they did like the whole Masters tournament and stuff. Yeah. And I freaking cried like a baby when he freaking won. Even though I'm still mad about that because so for me, I watched episodes on YouTube, and the episodes kind of come out, you know, a little earlier in Japan than they do for everywhere else because that's where they air. and it takes time to translate and stuff. And the official Pokemon account was the first thing that I saw on Twitter, and they were like, "Congratulations, Ash!" And I'm like, "What?"
Son of a.
It was like 8:30 in the morning, and like I had just gotten like into work or something. I'm like, "Are you kidding me? Did they really just spoil the animes for the whole world?"
Oh, that's brutal.
So I was mad about that, but the episode was just so good and still like emotional that like I don't care as much, but I'm still mad about it. So
what'd you think of Go? Did you like Go?
Yeah, I like Go because he's kind of like early Ash, where he doesn't know a whole lot, and then like Ash becomes like the teacher.
He grew on me. It took me a while.
Yeah.
At first, I was like,
yeah, that's how I felt too. Like at first, I was like, he's kind of annoying and stuff, but then like later, like especially like towards the end, he's like a lot more bearable and stuff. So, and it's cool too because it's like in Journeys they actually like formally address shiny Pokemon, and also like they catch legendaries, which is cool. Like Go has a Suicune.
Gosh, it's so awesome.
So, yeah. I know, like
he's a good trainer. He is like genuinely a good trainer. And it was fun. I think I also enjoyed that it was mainly them as a duo in Journeys. Like that was a cool experience to see. And then just watching Go just actually be someone who was good at like catching Pokemon. And then Ash, they finally gave him such a cool team. It was like Ash finally started evolving Pokemon for his party, and it was so awesome.
Yeah. I like that Go was actually trying to catch them all.
Yeah.
And then I always did think it was funny his name is Go, because like Pokemon Go and Go, and then it's like, let's go. And it's
that
like,
had to be some type of influence.
But yeah, I like Ash's team a lot, even though like you look at it from like just like on paper and it's just like horribly unbalanced. It's like, here's like 2 dragons, here's 2 like fighting types, here's like all these Pokemon that are like weak to fairy types by themselves and stuff. And it does kind of suck that he only has like 2 Gen 8 Pokemon on his team, even though it's not technically like a Gen 8 anime. Like it's not like Pokemon Galar Adventures, it's Pokemon Journeys, but like I still do like the team. I love his Dragonite the most, I think.
Yeah, like when you see him having like Gengar, for example, I'm like, man, that would have been cool if he had a Gengar before.
Yeah,
or like
I mean, he borrowed Haunter that one time.
He did. Yeah. Didn't go too long. And like it was just cool to finally see Ash get more than just like his Greninja was his star pupil, right? And it was like he finally had more than just that, which was just fun to see. I mean, I don't like Darkovish. I think those fossil Pokemon were just really dumb. But outside of that, I mean, when you look at the photo of like Ash winning world champs, he looks his whole team looks excited, and it's like little things like that make the anime be like, oh yeah, this is why it's just like really fun. And funny enough, pun intended, I guess, it really is a journey. I mean, you talked about how you started watching Pokemon probably around age 6. I think you're like maybe a year older than me, I'm pretty sure. And so we were around the same age though, and it's like we had Ash growing up, and now it's like that part's over. Like the Ash era is done. And I mean, I know there's rumors of people wondering, hey, is this new person on the block going to be like Ash's child or something like that?
Yeah.
I mean, it would be cool. I had no idea. I'm totally for that theory, but yeah, it's exciting, and it's cool that, the game, the card game, and the anime, pretty much their 3 main mediums, if maybe the only ones they have. It's cool to hear that like all 3 of those were something that you got enjoyment out of. I feel like there's a lot of things out there that people try to do multiple things of, and it just doesn't always click with everybody.
Yeah.
Like I'll use Yu-Gi-Oh as an example. I liked playing the game. I kind of like watching the show, but I didn't like the video games. I just didn't think they were fun. And then as I got older, I liked the video games more. Hated playing the card game. Never watched the show. So it's like but it's never always the trifecta. Whereas like with Pokemon, it seems like whether I'm watching the random YouTube videos that they make or like these off series, I like to watch something anime related to Pokemon. Card game, love collecting them. Pokemon games, there's a miss here and there for sure, but like at least right now with like Scarlet and Violet and like how Arceus was and stuff, it's cool that their whole ecosystem is enjoyable for the most part.
Yeah, they definitely have like the magic formula, and it is weird to think that like it's all gonna change technically, but like technically not, you know. And like I think it's like there's only like 7 episodes left of the anime for Ash. So it'll be really interesting to see like how that affects everything else, if it affects everything else at all. Yeah, I do think they probably will go with the child route just because the similarities are there, and like it makes sense, right? Like, you know, all these people grew up with Ash. Now they're going to essentially make him a grown up, and then the next generation gets to grow up with his child. So like you're still continuing that, like the Ketchum, you know, lineage or whatever. And this way, like Ash isn't gone. He's just not the main character anymore. So I do think that's what they'll do. I'd be okay if they don't, but I think they'd be stupid to not. And they're definitely not stupid considering they're the largest franchise in the world. So, but yeah, this generation, especially Gen 9, has been like so huge for them too, because Scarlet Violet is such a huge departure from like anything that they've done really. Because like there's Legends Arceus, sure, but like even that's just like each area is like closed off, like it's its own like separate area.
Yeah, they are
just like roam between them.
Yeah.
So with Scarlet Violet, like I think like the future is going to be like insane for Pokemon, and I think it'll be insane for a lot of people too, because this is actually the first generation where I actually completed the Pokedex in, you know, 25 years of playing or whatever. I started to do it in Gen 8 and then I just got bored because it's so much work. But here it felt kind of easy just because like, you know, half of my gameplay hours were just roaming around catching stuff and finding items. It wasn't even like doing the gyms or whatever. Whereas Galar was still more like linear and everything. And I actually found this out like last week. They're having a regional in Charlotte, so I might actually participate in that because I've been getting into VGC this gen. I watched it last generation. People hate on Dynamax because it's stupid, and I agree. It is like really, like it looks stupid. Like, oh, the Pokemon turns to like the skyscraper. But in terms of like competitive like gimmicks or whatever, it's the best mechanic they've had aside from terrestrialization, because you know you get bonus health, so you're tankier, you can't be flinched, and you gain access to max moves which have all these different effects. So it's like you can make your team, you know, tankier with like max ooze, which is like the poison version, or max steel, or you can do, you know, more offensive things like setting up the sun for your fire type to do by using max fire or whatever. So there's all these different like ways to use it and stuff, which I didn't really recognize until I started watching like VGC content, and that made me have a better appreciation for it, even though I think visually it's a stupid gimmick. But yeah, so I watched a lot of that, and then this generation I was like, all right, I'm gonna get into VGC. And I actually, for the first series, because the way it works for online ranked is each month is a season, but then they have different series and each series has a different rule set. So series 1 was you can use any Pokemon in the Pokedex, but you can't use Paradox Pokemon or Legendaries. And that was like all of December and January. And then February 1st, it went over to series 2. So now Paradox Pokemon are allowed, but still no Legendaries. So in series 1, I actually managed to I built a team like all on my own, and I actually got up to like rank like 750 on the ladder.
Dang, it's not bad.
I feel like that's kind of impressive.
So there's got to be a lot of people competing. 750, that's triple digits. That ain't bad.
Yeah. So season 2, we don't talk about that one. I think I finished like 49,000.
Hey, see, if you finished 49,000 in season 2 and 750 in season 1, definitely shows that you did really well. So that's cool.
Yeah. But yeah, so like that shows me that I can potentially at least do it well enough. So I am going to try and get to that Charlotte regional and I think it's March 24th through the 26th. But yeah.
Yeah,
So I'm excited for the future.
Yeah, you should totally give that a try. I would be curious to see how that goes. I'd be even curious to go just to like be like a viewer, because I assume they would do a little bit. I assume those things are kind of like convention style too, where it's more than just the event. Like they'll probably have like people having like kiosks and stuff selling things, probably like a merchant floor. That's cool to know that it's here in Charlotte.
Yeah, and I think with that one, I guess with most regionals, but I know with that one specifically, they're doing all three. So you have the actual like VGC game, you have the card game, and then you have Pokemon Go.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, so you could go there and like, trade cards with someone or something, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, totally have to check that out. Well, that's cool. So we'll take a little bit step back. We're gonna bounce a little questions about you again, still Pokemon related. So the first one, if you were a Pokemon type or combination, has to still just be two. What do you think your type would be?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Thanks.
Probably Ghost. And I guess Ghost Electric.
Ooh, okay.
I really like the electric type. I really like the ghost type. And I think it's a cool combination too.
Yeah, are there ghost electrics out there?
Rotom. I think that might actually be the only one.
Might be the only one.
Yeah.
Bro, that'd be cool.
Course, yeah.
Ghost
and what's cool about Rotom is it has Levitate, so it's immune to ground types.
Gosh, don't you just love electric type Pokemon that have Levitate? Like Electros, right? It's like the greatest thing ever. You're right? Well, I'm undefeatable.
I guess I'm immune now.
Well, that's cool. Yeah. So then, now let's think. So close your eyes. Imagine yourself. You are now a video game character. You are standing there on a route, waiting for a child to walk by. He presses the A button on you. What do you say? What would be your NPC dialogue if you were in a game?
I mean, I feel like I have to default to something youngster Joey would say, right? Like, he's got Rattata. What would I have? Like, I don't even know. My Teddiursa's in the top percentage of Teddiursa.
And then you battle him with like a level 100 Teddiursa that has like max IVs.
Was actually the first Pokemon I ever got to level 100 in Gen 2. So,
oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Ursaring's like my ace in Gen 2.
Oh, that's really cool to know. I don't honestly can't say I've ever used that Pokemon in battles. I think I've used it in the card game in one deck that I made, but I've never. I shiny hunted Teddiursa and Arceus. That was a fun one. I do like the green. Nice. It's a cute little teddy bear for sure.
Yeah, I like it too. Yeah, my Ursaring was kind of terrible technically though in Gen 2. So before Gen 4, Gens 1 through 3, every type was assigned either physical damage or special damage. So even though Fire Punch is like, it's like a physical move, technically it still does special damage because it's a fire type move. And my Ursaring knew Strength, Fire Punch, Thunder Punch, and Ice Punch.
What a Chad.
So even though it's a physical attacker, it had 3 special moves in Gen 2. So
what an ace. Ace in the hole, everybody.
And then its 4th move was Strength because I didn't have a Pokemon to teach HM4.
Gosh, how can we just take a moment to appreciate the fact that HMs don't exist anymore?
I know. I mean,
it's
Urban
so
Mystica,
nice.
HM.
Yeah, really. That is the new style. I'm so glad that they got rid of those. I'm a little annoyed that moves like TMs aren't unlimited again. You have to like craft them again. I think.
Yeah,
I personally think crafting's kind of meh, but
being like once and then done though.
Oh gosh, yeah. We're not going back to square one at least. It's just having them unlimited was just so convenient.
Yeah, it was. I
feel like for those who were making competitive Pokemon too, it was like really convenient because they only had to like get a TM once. Now I do know some people were creating their teams via methods But those who, are actually doing them like legitimately, having unlimited TMs is definitely a pretty big perk. So, okay, then you're talking about Ursaring. Who is your favorite Pokemon? Or maybe like top 5? Because favorite's tough. So, if you want to go for like a top 5 or something, we can go for that too.
Yeah, it is tough because it's like I love Pikachu. Like, who doesn't? But like, I love Pikachu. I'm sure you've seen my streams before where like I had Pikachu in the background, right? I've had that since I was like 7 or 8. So
that's cool.
He's still sitting on the table next to me. What's up,
that's cute,
buddy? So like, it's hard for me to not say Pikachu, but then also Ursaring, because like first Pokemon I ever got to level 100. It was like my ace in Gen 2, which is strange because like usually the starter is my ace for almost every generation. So Ursaring is definitely like special. And also just quick fun fact, I think some early releases of Generation 2 in America, something with like the code was wrong or something, where Donphan is supposed to be in silver and Ursaring is supposed to be in gold. But I played through silver, and Ursaring was in it. And there was like a small production timeline where like that error was like a thing. So
that's cool.
Technically, my ace in another universe is Donphan, not Ursaring.
Interesting. That's cool.
Right? So Pikachu, Ursaring. Who else? I really like Torterra. Got fondness for Torterra.
Finally, thank you.
Yes.
I love Torterra. No one talks about... Dude,
he's so cool.
Keeping Torterra Earthquake was so epic.
Oh my god!
I love that. Literally, Torterra is my favorite starter. Turtwig is my favorite starter. Yeah, I never hear anybody say that Torterra is one of their tops. That is really cool to hear.
Yeah, I love the Turtwig line. Like, definitely my favorite Gen 4 starter for sure.
If you see it shiny, its shiny is really cool too.
Yeah, I'm gonna look it up real quick. But yeah, I think I know. It's like bluish kind of, right?
Yeah. Turtwig looks better for sure. Like, I don't know why Torterra went back to being more of like a greenish,
it's more like green.
Yeah, the Turtwig though, Turtwig and Grottle have like such good shinies.
Yeah, even Grottle's blue. That looks pretty cool. Yeah, Turtwig's. Yeah. What's funny about that too is Shining Pearl, Brilliant Diamond, whatever, came out and I got them, and then I was gonna stream them, and I was like, all right, we're doing a full shiny run. Like, I'm not getting my starter unless he's shiny. I did like 200 resets in one stream, and then I never played the games again.
Yeah, so, I tried doing the same thing.
Kind of a waste of money, but oh well. Yeah, I love Torterra mostly because it's a cool Pokemon, but also when I played through Gen 4 the first time, I made sure that Torterra never went down. Like, I never lost a battle, and even if like all my other Pokemon like fainted, Torterra never fainted. So it literally was like my ace. It was like my go-to. So love Torterra. 2 more if I had to pick. It's actually really tough. I don't know if I actually could pick 2 more, so I might just
that's
leave
fine.
it there.
Yeah, that's fine. So you got Ursaring, got Torterra, you got Pikachu. That's cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're done with the questions of this sort. Now it is time to move on to something a little bit new. I actually don't know if you'll hear this. The listeners will.
Okay.
Just be careful. This could be loud, but it is now time for the special game show part of this interview.
Ooh.
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
All right. Nice.
I was like dancing in my chair.
All right. So, contestant Joethejoe, if you get the question right, you will hear. If you get it wrong, you will hear.
Okay.
Pretty simple. I'll be tallying up the points. It's kind of like whose line points don't really matter, but still it's fun to do.
Okay.
I found this test very randomly. I am not going to attest to how great of a test of random questions this is, but we're going to go for it anyway. So, Joe, question number 1. How many shapes/forms can an unknown be? Can it be 25, 26, 27, or 28?
28. The alphabet, question mark, and exclamation point.
Attaboy. Okay.
Yeah.
Not too bad. I actually don't know if any of these are like super difficult or not, so we'll see. Which move does the most damage? Hyper Beam, Explosion, V-Create, or Self-Destruct?
Explosion. Yeah.
Very nice. I actually kind of thought it was Self-Destruct.
That's a weaker version of Explosion, which is, it's weird that they made two versions of the same move.
Yeah, that is weird.
Yeah.
Some of these some of these questions are if they're spelled correctly, but I'm not about to do that. That's weird. Okay. Which one is not a Generation 1 move?
Okay.
Tri-Attack, Egg Bomb, Yawn, Mimic.
Yawn.
He's unstoppable, folks. We are 3 for 3 right now.
I have my hat turned backwards. So.
That one's like really easy. Okay, which is a pure steel type? Larion, Bisharp, Steelix, or Registeel?
Registeel.
Can't trick this man, folks. 4 for 4. That's another spelling correctly. That's kind of weird.
Question 5. Name every Pokemon.
We'll be here for a while.
That one will definitely get me, though.
This is another easy. Man, this quiz is kind of easy. What does the cherry berry do? Cure freeze, cure paralysis, cure the confusion, or nothing?
Cures paralysis.
Oh my gosh, folks, he cannot be beaten. I'm about to just look up a random Pokemon and start describing it.
Do it.
Random Pokemon. Random Pokemon generator. Give me all gens, baby. Go for it. Okay. This Pokemon has 4 total toes, question mark on if these are actual toes. And I can't see because the image is really small, but potentially 1, 2, 3, 4, 8 different or 8 total fingers. It is an early gen Pokemon.
4 potential toes and 8 potential fingers.
I just want to play the wrong sound. That's really all I'm going for.
So would you say first half of the national dex? Like Gen 1 through 4?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll give you a couple, guesses. You're good. You can ask some questions.
Let's see. Is it from Gen 1 or 3?
Yes.
Okay. I'm
also looking up hard Pokemon trivia.
You could probably just try dex entries, honestly.
Oh, that's a good one.
What the heck only has 4 fingers on each hand if it has hands? Gen 1 through or 1 or 3. Is it a dual type?
I don't think so. I'm pretty sure it's not. I'm on a different screen right now, but I'm pretty sure this one is not.
Okay.
No, it's not.
Okay.
I swear, if you
I think this is wrong because I think this has 6, but I'm gonna go for it. Is it Grumpig?
Nah, that's a really good guess, though. Honestly, let me look at Grumpig. You were pretty close. He has 3 on each hand. So unfortunately, but really, was it a wrong question? I kind of just threw some random. It was Magmar.
Okay.
But you were really close. You're literally off by 1 digit per hand. That was not bad at all.
Yeah.
Okay, let's try another hardest quiz of all time. A lot of these hard quizzes are actually a joke. People are just like, what's Pikachu's Pokemon type?
Yeah.
Like, what? How's this a hard question? Okay, fine. Random Pokedex number. Let's just do that. See if you can figure out a Pokedex number. Oh, this is actually kind of fun. It prefers hot and humid environments. It is quick at capturing prey with its vines.
Ooh. This could be like anything. I'm going to say Tangela.
Ooh, eels. It is Bellsprout.
What vines?
You know, it's got a little bit of vines at the bottom. Hey,
You mean its toes?
shaman.in/Pokemon/Dex does not lie, bro. I also have this could only be a Gen 1 thing. I have no idea. So maybe just go for Gen 1 thoughts. Okay, here we go. The infant rarely ventures out of its mother's protective pouch until it's 3 years old.
Kangaskhan.
Nice.
Dude, if that was like actually it's Chansey, it's like what?
Who's that Pokemon? Okay, wait, this isn't only Gen 1. Volcanoes erupt when it barks. Unable to restrain its extreme power, it races headlong around the land.
Oh.
You got this. The key is in the beginning.
Yeah. When it barks. I know this, but it's like what Pokemon barks? Like I want to say Entei, but does Entei bark? Shoot. I swear I heard this like last week too, because I was watching like a video or something that mentioned it.
All right. Need an answer.
I'm gonna just say Entei.
Survey says, hey, good job, dude.
Entei barks, I guess. I don't know.
Apparently to the Pokedex entry it does.
Right.
Oh yeah, this is not just Gen 1. All of its fur dazzles if danger is sensed. It flees while the foe is momentarily blinded. And I can give you a hint on this one if you do need it.
Can you give me the generation?
I can. I just gotta look it up myself. I don't remember. It is 4.
4. Ooh, okay. That's not what I was thinking.
So
I'm gonna say Pachirisu.
Ooh. It is Shinx.
Oh, makes so much sense too.
I know.
Dang it.
I actually was thinking about Legends Arceus regarding the like it flees stuff, because I do know that like sometimes they can flee if they'll hit you with lightning and then like run away, which is kind of interesting that they put that into the game.
That's cool.
All right, let's do 2 more. So this one says it uses the horns on its heads to sense human emotions. It is said to appear in front of cheerful people.
Oh, I know this one. Shoot. Togepi.
Ooh. It's Ralts.
Those aren't horns? What?
Yeah, they're horns, bro.
Yeah, I don't know about that. They're like discs.
Hey, you try pulling those things off, it'll get mad. Now, I'm kind of surprised by it appears to cheerful people, because I was pretty happy, and it took me hours to get Ralts in Pokemon Emerald. Thank you very much.
True.
The name of it is in the thing. That doesn't work at all. I'll just read it because it sounds fun. It uses a fun word. Claydol is an enigma that appeared from a clay statue made by an ancient civilization dating back 20,000 years. This Pokemon shoots beams from both its hands. That's actually kind of epic.
Are those hands though?
You know, which one's the eye? There's just a lot going on with Claydol that doesn't make too much sense. But it's kind of cool that he was made from clay.
Yeah.
Okay. Last one.
All right.
It anchors itself by wrapping twigs with the silk from its body. It motionlessly awaits evolution. Do not assume that this is a Gen 1. I will give you that hint because this really sounds like a metapod or something. It is not. I'll say that much. Not a Gen 1 person. So it anchors itself by wrapping twigs around from the silk in its body. It motionally awaits evolution.
I want to. I guess I'll go with. I gotta make sure I get the name right. I think it's like Scatterbug's evolution, which I think is Spupa. I think.
Is that your final answer?
That'll be my answer.
It is Silcoon.
I wouldn't have expected that at all.
Yeah, I was, because Silcoon and Cascoon are so similar, I was like, oh man, I hope he says one of them. Like if he says one of them, I was just gonna give it to you. But yeah, it's one of those things like where I look at the Pokemon and I get it because I do know that Silcoon and Cascoon were definitely Gen 3's version of Metapod and Kakuna and stuff. But yeah, I don't normally think of that Pokemon as waiting motionlessly to evolve, because I also remember that Pokemon did have moves. Like you could get a Silcoon or a Cascoon with more than just Harden.
Yeah.
So
the thing that threw me off was the wrapping itself in sticks. It just sits there. Like Spupa has like that whole like cloak around it. I'm like, oh, and it's got like all this confetti looking stuff in it. That's got to be it.
Yeah, that was a good education guess. Honestly, let's see. Tallying everything up, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You got 7 right and 5 wrong, which not too bad, honestly, for just doing random Pokedex entries. That was pretty solid. So that was our Game So segment. I will lead us off with another little jingle because I really like this. Oh yeah. Pokemon trivia, baby. Sweet. Well, that's going to conclude our interview section of Who's That Interviewee of the podcast. Joe, thank you so much for joining today. If people want to find you on, I don't know, whatever platform you feel like people should find you on, whether it be Twitter or YouTube or whatever you want, where could someone find you? And if you don't want people to find you, that is totally fine as well.
Like, yeah, you can find me at my house at
here's my address, my social, my phone number.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. First of all, this is a lot of fun. And I guess if you want to follow me, Joethejoe 9 on Twitter. It's literally just the words Joe, and Joe, and then the number 9. So yeah. Other than that, you can't really find me anywhere else. I'm not really on Facebook or YouTube or anything really.
Yeah, mysterious man.
So yeah,
Joe, the mysterious Joe. Thanks again. Appreciate it.
Yeah, this is a lot of fun. So I'd be down in the future to come back and redeem myself on some of those questions or whatever, or ask you questions as the interviewee.
There we go.
Do a little reverse.
I like it. Well, I will now turn things back over to solo talking podcast Tyler. So Tyler, take it away. All right, so there we have it. Thank you again to Joe for joining me and just chatting about some fun Pokemon stuff. I do really appreciate it. He was the first person that I interviewed, so it's pretty exciting to kind of kick off the dream that I have for this podcast. So again, thank you very much, Joe, and thank you to you, the listener, right now for listening to this podcast. The Chatting Chatot, brought to you by Calling All Nerds. Yeah, we super appreciate it, though. Thank you very much for tuning in. As always, you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, TikTok, honestly, everywhere at MrTNader. Also, be sure to follow Calling All Nerds on YouTube and Twitter as well. And with that, we're going to end the podcast. So thank you all very much. Hope you have a good one. And we'll talk to you all later. Peace.